Hey guys, what's up? Flix here to talk about Call of Duty, but we're going to be talking mainly about this data chart that was provided by NerosCinema. The first thing I wanted to do was track down the records or earning filings from Activision that he would have had to have used to reference these numbers to, and then find out what other filings he used to deduct to get the graph that he got right here in removing COD Mobile, to then further verify this graph as a whole. And then I wanted to make this video to go more in-depth on his own graph than he did in his video. It's still an excellent video. You should definitely go check it out. I'll put the link in the description. Now, breaking down this chart, it shows monthly active users for Warzone and Call of Duty. This excludes the number of players active on Call of Duty Mobile. Now, there's a lot of Modern Warfare fanboys out there who refuse to accept what this graph shows. They say that it's misleading or it's a flat-out lie because it was originally presented by NerosCinema, and they're like, oh, he's biased. He just doesn't like Call of Duty. But those same people also fail to go find the numbers on their own, which you can. These numbers are tied to data that was released by Activision themselves. And for the people who say, oh, but you see, like, there wasn't 53 million people playing Black Ops 4. You are right. This is the monthly average user for Call of Duty as a whole. So you have the markers of the games to give you a reference of time, but the number of people playing is across all Call of Duties, not just that current one. And again, for people who then say, well, maybe this also includes Overwatch numbers or other Activision and Blizzard games, and therefore it's not accurate. No, that's not true. That particular chart that you're assuming that this is shows the company had 372 million monthly active users as of March 31st, down from 435 million the previous year. This chart right here is specifically for Call of Duty. So this was the chart that NerosCinema was using, and if we compare that to Activision's earning filings from 2016 to 2021, you can see it does line up. And all he was trying to do is take Call of Duty Mobile out of the equation to see what numbers we were dealing with as far as just the main title COD and Warzone were concerned. And so he shows the data that he got regarding Call of Duty Mobile's monthly active users, and you can indeed look that up. So all he did was take this graph made off of the data of Activision's own earning filings from 2016 to 2021, and then deduct the numbers reported for Call of Duty Mobile, and then this is what we have left over. So looking at these numbers, you can obviously see that some of these people are obviously playing the previous Call of Duties. There were not 53 million people playing Black Ops 4 alone, but it shows how each release of the latest Call of Duty, if bad enough, can affect the overall interest in Call of Duty as a whole. So let's break this down, shall we? The reason this is so cool is because it shows the increase in interest based off of marketing versus the decrease in interest based off of people actually playing the game. You can actually see when the hype from the marketing starts to die down and people are left with the actual product to decide whether or not they want to keep playing it or whether or not it's worth them investing more of their time. So Black Ops 3 had a lot of hype, and then it slowly kind of like went down kind of sharp compared to the others. And then you see this line, this movement right here, you see this increase in players, because this was after the reveal and during the time of the marketing for Infinite Warfare. People were getting hyped, and then they actually play the game, it mellows out, it goes down just a little bit, and then it kind of straightens itself back out again, and then boom, marketing season again for Call of Duty World War II, and the interest in Call of Duty goes back up again, and then there's the release of World War II, and it has a decrease at a similar angle to Black Ops 3. So its initial hype and performance were not much different than Black Ops 3, which many people covet as the greatest boost jumps Call of Duty, which to me kind of just proves that the World War II era isn't the issue with these games. It's not the World War II setting, it's how they actually make the games that's the issue. Because the setting itself got people more hyped, it got people more interested, brought people back to Call of Duty, but due to how the game was handled, you see this drop right here, and then you have this huge hype for Black Ops 4 with a sharper increase than the previous CODs, but then people actually get their hands on the game and they go to play it, and boom, you have this huge sharp drop, bigger than what we've seen here. You see it gets incrementally larger, and then we have this huge spike from hype, because we got a trailer with this logo, which is tied to the most beloved series in the franchise. So you had all this hype and expectation riding on the shoulders of good games that have already been produced in the past, synonymous with this logo. But then people get their hands on the game, and what do they get? What do they get? They get doors, they get no minimap and core, and they get super high skill-based matchmaking. Skill-based matchmaking, by the way, they told us was to help player retention, and they said the data was showing that it was helping player retention. But as you see here, that was total bullshit. And this drop is for all Call of Duty, meaning that people didn't just leave this game to go back to these games. No, this was such a horrible experience, they gave up on COD altogether. All these people not only left COD, but they didn't even go back to any of these. But then, what happens around here? We get Warzone. Now, what's crazy about this is the monthly average users on the other Warzone charts that isolate Warzone specifically seems to show that you can expect around half of the number of people who downloaded Warzone were returning monthly active users. And around this time, they had between 60 and 70 million new downloads, which means an estimated 30 million monthly active users. Which means that this spike right here is almost all Warzone. And Modern Warfare is only benefiting about that much. Now, that's still a lot better than continuing this drop right here, which was just devastating. But around this time of the year, Activision did release a statement saying that Modern Warfare sales were increasing after the initial release of Warzone, which meant that Warzone was doing its job as a marketing tool, because that's what Warzone was meant to do, was to, as a free game, just be a constant billboard or commercial or advertisement for the current Call of Duty and help its sales. And what's very interesting about this time period right here is that Warzone was helping Modern Warfare's game sales tremendously, including the fact that Modern Warfare got the COVID bump, because during COVID, there was a 30% increase, a 30% bump to overall game sales in the United States. So the game sales during this time are benefiting heavily from all these factors, but the number of people buying the game is not well reflected in the player retention, meaning that a lot of people were buying the game and playing it maybe once or twice and then never touching it again. But then we have this drop. What's interesting about this drop is during this time, Warzone downloads were still skyrocketing. People were still playing the shit out of Warzone, which means that this drop was due to Modern Warfare. Now, another thing to point out that was going on around this time is that Activision was claiming that player retention was actually doing very well for Modern Warfare. It was doing just as well as they had intended and hoped. But Activision also got called out for mixing statistics, meaning that they were taking really good statistics from Warzone and labeling those statistics as Modern Warfare statistics. But now we're getting a little bit of interest in Call of Duty overall, because guess what? The marketing for Black Ops Cold War has started and people are getting hyped. People are playing Warzone. There was a Warzone event with the trailer for Black Ops Cold War. And then we had all the people getting hyped for the new Warzone map. Finally, we're going to get something new with Warzone. And so if you deduct the number of monthly active users, you get this pretty sharp increase towards this general area. Now, it's not performing quite as well as the initial release of Modern Warfare, but we kind of already saw that in the initial sales numbers. But here's where these two differ. When Modern Warfare initially released, it had super high skill-based matchmaking. The movement was slowed down. They were updating certain parts of the movement to nerf it even more, to kind of more like even the playing field, and that wasn't really fun for anybody. And so it was essentially in free fall until being rescued by Warzone. But Black Ops Cold War was a little bit different. It released in tangent with Warzone, so it had this constant marketing to give it the same support that Modern Warfare only got 3 months later. So again, deducting the monthly active users specifically for Warzone, you can see that Black Ops actually had an increase in monthly active users while being companioned with this very powerful marketing tool. But then you hit this issue of stagnation, which quickly turned into abandonment because they introduced the new Warzone. People weren't very happy with it. They were already starting to get a little bored with Warzone as it was. So then Warzone starts to go into freefall and therefore is no longer providing that same support for Black Ops Cold War as it once did. So they reported a 50 million player drop in this time span right here, which means that if Black Ops Cold War had remained stagnant, meaning it remained the same amount of monthly active users all the way to this point, it would have sat around 54 million players, but it didn't. It kept going down, meaning that interest in Black Ops Cold War also was going down. But what's crazy here is that Vanguard's marketing starts around here, starts to get kind of heavy. You have the alpha and the beta on its way, but there's no increased interest in Call of Duty at all. At all. Keep in mind that this includes numbers from all these games. I'm talking about interest in Call of Duty whatsoever, and there is no change. The marketing for this did absolutely nothing to prevent the free fall in interest in Call of Duty as a whole, compared to Black Ops 4, compared to Modern Warfare, compared to Call of Duty World War II. And now they're in really big trouble because this big free multiplayer commercial and billboard essentially is no longer grabbing people, and therefore it's not helping support the franchise. You had a big enough problem when people got their hands on your game and realized they really didn't like it, determined that they were done with Call of Duty, and then you bring this new thing in, which kind of saves things for a bit. But what do you do when people are not only over your main title, Call of Duty, but also over your big marketing tool, Warzone? Leaving you to only rely on a phone application that is also losing interest. You're losing on all sides. Then you've got nothing to save you, and all of it just goes straight into freefall. And this shows no sign of slowing down, which means that by the time we get the next Call of Duty, the monthly active users overall for Call of Duty are going to be lower than they were for Black Ops 4 leading up to Modern Warfare 2019. They basically pushed really hard for this complete reboot of the franchise, and within 2.5 years, they are taking off from a lower starting point than they originally had to begin with. Now for Vanguard, Activision says, oh, we blame the setting. I am sorry, I beg to differ. This is a futuristic setting. This is a modern setting. This is a World War II setting. Vanguard was not a World War II game. When you're so focused on microtransactions that you choose individuality over factions or teams or uniform-based warfare in a World War II game, guess what? You're not going to attract fans of World War II games. So don't blame the setting. It was the execution, not to mention the fact that the alpha played like a pre-alpha and the beta played like an alpha. This game was not ready on its release. On top of the fact that this is not a World War II game. Like, they can say it is all they want, but I mean, you can also open up a restaurant, take a dump between two pieces of bread and call it a Philly cheesesteak. But that doesn't mean people are going to agree with you or buy your product. And then when you blame the failure on, oh, it's the setting, that's like saying, oh, I know what the problem is. It's the bread. I need sesame seed. That's what it is. It can't possibly be the pile of shit in between two buns that I'm passing off as a Philly cheesesteak. Like, dude. Now, of course, all of this is, educated guesses based off of the data that we have. This is not going to be exact. This is just a visual ballpark representation. Now, this last line that I just made is purely an assumption based off of the fact that you have like 1/10 the number of active profiles being tracked on the Call of Duty Tracker app regarding players on Vanguard versus accounts for Modern Warfare. There are several million accounts being tracked on Call of Duty Tracker for Modern Warfare. There's only like 550,000 accounts being tracked for Vanguard, like just over half of 1 million. So when they talk about how skill-based matchmaking or engagement-optimized matchmaking was allegedly helping the player retention, along with this huge, unprecedented push for microtransactions in the Call of Duty franchise, supposedly being what the fans actually wanted and keeping people interested in the game and being good for the franchise, it is now completely irrefutable that that was all complete bullshit. And the only reason they were pushing EOMM, or engagement optimized matchmaking, so hard was because the franchise was failing and they needed people to buy more microtransactions to make up the difference financially. They needed to make more money off of the lower game sales, so they pushed more microtransactions and they pushed a matchmaking system that was designed to try to manipulate people into buying more microtransactions. Instead of just fixing the game and giving the fans what they wanted, that's the route they went, which just further hurt the franchise. And now we're here, and what do they say? Oh, it's the setting. It's World War II. That's what the issue was. Like, god damn it, guys. Get your shit together. I'm done with this. This was just me at like, what time is it? 4 a.m. I'm bored, and this franchise is frustrating. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. Keep the conversation going, and I will catch you guys next time.